Sharapova have just a very instinctive player, some of the better of the produced shots that are around, taught by Robert Lansdorp in California, as well as Nick Bollettieri and several other experts.
Well, just a little
Sharapova leads 2 games to love.
Query there from Dokic about that last winning shot of Sharapova, but no question about it, it was in. And there you are, 2-love. Oh, trying with his left-hander.
15-love.
And something that actually Tommy Robredo managed to do yesterday in his match against Roddick. He actually played with a rather like that with his left hand and got it over.
Yeah, well, she in her previous matches, a little chance for her. But you know, actually, that was very interesting illustration there. She made such an effort to get to the ball that hit the net, which Dokic hit, but Dokic just is dumbfounded by this one.
$30-15. $40-15.
Beautiful exchange of shots. A clever thing that Sharapova did, rolling the ball up a little bit, but she didn't get it quite deep enough, and it got severely punished. Great rally.
Jelena Dokic.
She's on the board.
Miss Sharapova leads 2 games to 1.
So there we are, 2-1 in the first set with a break to Sharapova. And you may be excused for believing that Jelena Dokic has got a cold. I don't think she has, but she goes as if she's sneezing every time she hits the ball. It's an extraordinary noise she makes.
Yeah, it's quite interesting now when everybody exhales and various decibels, and obviously it was Sharapova who's the one who made the headlines. And there were some funny stories coming out of Birmingham when she certainly made the headlines, coming through qualifying and getting all the way to the semi-finals there, and her ranking shot up to 88, and that was why she got a wild card into Wimbledon, because she would have been that ranking would have allowed to get in. But one of the funny stories was in a hospitality tent very close to the court where she was playing, there was a pianist tinkling away on the pianos. Apparently he got up at one stage and went over to the court and said, "Could you tell them to keep quiet? It's interfering with my piano playing." I think she's toned it down.
We haven't heard her yet really making any loud noises. Well, it's early days, isn't it?
We will when the intensity and the heat rises.
$15 love.
Well, now, Dokic
15 all.
bases her whole game on solidity and penetration off the ground. And that's how she defeated Hingis that memorable day here on this very court. Happy memories for her here. And it's a question of whether Sharapova can break up that rhythm.
Sharapova
30-15.
has been hitting her ground strokes absolutely beautifully all through the tournament. I still think there's a little room for improvement on her serve. It's not a bad action, but she starts, you know, with the weight back, and sometimes you just lose a little bit of the tempo that way.
Ah! 40-15.
She's beginning to pump her fist, Sharapova, which is something that will be very evident. She gets very competitive, a lot of drive that goes into these matches she plays.
Game is Sharapova. Sharapova leads 3-1.
Sharapova's forehand is so good. She paints the boundaries of the court. She had so many winners off that side.
Love 15.
A third double fault from Dokic from the same side, so she got herself into a hole with that first game. Poor first game. She doesn't want to get into a bigger one here.
Let's second service. Love 30.
Point like that, a little bit symbolic of the way these two are playing. Sharapova just real fine tuning, and Dokic a little bit late and a little short with her balls.
Made her move well.
15-30.
Could have been even further up the sideline with a bit more slice on it.
It's a favourite serve, that, so it'll be interesting to see if Sharapova begins to read that, because obviously they haven't played before.
So it's in. A little clenched fist there.
15-40.
Well, in slow motion it looked easy, but she really was stretched to hit that backhand.
30-40.
Well, they're hitting meaty balls, these two. The winner just now was at 78 miles an hour, so she's right up there. And the serve was at 100. 30-40.
Deuce.
See, also, well, we'll have a look at this another time, the way she stands to return serve. Sharapova, I think the way she stands, it means you can run around a backhand like that, or the ball coming close into her middle, but it leaves her a little exposed for the wide serve to the forehand. On the other hand, she's very tall and got long arms, so she's got quite a good wing coverage.
Game is Dokic.
Well, she did well to hold on.
Miss Sharapova leads 3-2.
Well, now let's look in a little more detail at these two players. First, Jelena Dokic, who's 20 years of age, seeded 11 here with the world ranking of 12, has been as high as 4, and those are her best performances at the Grand Slam. That semi-final year here, the year she beat Martina Hingis. And her career details, there they are. 15 of 16 this year, just under 50% success rate on the tour this year, but very good record here. 17 wins, 4 losses. And her opponent, here she is, the young Maria Sharapova, just 16 years of age and playing her first Grand Slam year. First round at both the Australian and the French, 91 in the world. It has been to 88, as you heard, her exploits in this country, and her career record, 6 wins, 6 losses on the tour. Here at Wimbledon, of course, just the 2 wins she's had this year.
The tournaments, of course, that Dokic had won were included Birmingham last year, included the Italian Open, and a big tournament in Tokyo and Moscow the year before.
Let first service.
So it's an indifferent year this year comparatively for Jelena Dokic.
Love 15.
But Jelena has had a good Wimbledon. She beat Elena Beltacha. She squeaked through that match, as a matter of fact. Elena could have won that match, and then she had a fairly easy run against Gagliardi, so she looks like she's gaining confidence.
Didn't give it enough air.
15 all.
Tough one, those, changing the direction of the ball over the high part of the net. Oh, on the line.
30-15.
As John McEnroe would say, chalk flew up. But of course, it's not chalk anymore, as he now knows, and there's the service action that we want to look at in a minute.
Something white.
Titanium pigment. And we've even
40-15.
got Johnny Mac saying that now. Titanium pigment flew up.
Your American accent needs a little work, JB.
It does, doesn't it? Oh! Don't think I shall take up acting.
Mind you, you have some other good accents that I have heard. A little request for another look at that serve from Sharapova, and then she throws in a double fault. But at least we're seeing her vary her serve. She swung it out wide and then went down the tee. And I think seeing the talent that this young player has, she's going to develop that serve even more.
Oh, what a good length they were keeping.
Deuce.
So important, depth on ground strokes. Time for short ones is when you're using angles. And her father is travelling with her, and also one of the coaches, Michael Baroch, but they'll be pretty pleased.
Oh, just out.
Advantage, Miss Dokic.
Just
Right.
suddenly a few errors. Yep. Looks like it. Oh, that was quite not even a close call there. But a few little errors creeping into Sharapova's game, which I think is because Dokic is beginning to time the ball better herself.
ball.
What's so wonderful about this forehand of Maria Sharapova's is that she ends up with very soft hands, and that gets the racket head to accelerate through the ball. Some of the big hitters of the ball, and she certainly won, but some of the others are much stiffer with their wrists, and it doesn't quite give them that shooting effect.
Serve. Oh, what a good serve. Oh, was she excited about that?
Advantage, Miss Sharapova.
And that return of Dokic
Deuce.
must have been about 80 miles an hour. The serve, by the way, but Sharapova just hit the ace, was 105 miles an hour. For a 16-year-old, that is impressive.
She's tall. Oh, another beautiful serve.
5'9" of her.
I think she may be a touch more than 5'9". I mean, she
Sharapova.
certainly looks 5'9" and a bit. That was the point before. We missed the lovely wide ace from Sharapova, but I can assure you it was a good one.
Oh, what an early ball. This is so impressive.
Miss Sharapova leads 4-2.
Well, I remember seeing her win the Australian Junior Championship last year, and I thought then, or was she a finalist? I can't remember whether she won it or, but I watched the final. And I was going to say, Virginia, one could see then the promise,
Love
but
15.
we're at the lovely stage when she suddenly realised just how good she is.
Well, and she's also very uninhibited still. You know, she's still young enough not to have, as I always call it, scar tissue in her psyche. Oh, that's a good shot. She still hasn't really lost any matches that she should have won, and then started to get tentative. Beautiful shot there.
She's going to have to step up and hit shots like that if she's going to turn this match around. Yep. Yep, let's do that. Let me see it. I'm watching.
Good effort.
Okay.
30-15.
The aces are the red. The yellow are the first.
Sharapova. Just missing that last wide one.
$40-15.
Well, a better game.
Ball change, please, new boys. Miss Sharapova leads 4-3.
Much better game there from Jelena Dokic, and just the one little break, and certainly Sharapova is feeling the pressure today of being out on a big court against such a good player. She's just losing control of some of the fast balls. The courts, of course, are faster. It's been a week of good sunshine, and the courts speed up, and some of them really shoot through. So you just are excused if you make errors just because the ball comes through too fast at you.
Let's have a look at the hawk-eye view of the serves of Sharapova. The aces are in red, the first serves are yellow, and the second serves are green. And you see how well she's bunching them towards the lines, and the ones down the middle are at the body, so she's varying it so well.
Yeah, and you can certainly see in the left court that the depth is terrific. So I think that's even more important maybe in the left court, where you're not going to benefit from the slice to the same extent. But the slices out wide. See, she starts with her weight back. Once in a while, she gets the ball tossed just a little bit behind her, or her body moves forward a touch too soon. But when she gets it right, it is really good. And so I think as she gets a little older and stronger, it's going to just improve.
Oh, it's amazing the length she's keeping.
You know, there's so many good players around, and it's hard to pick what makes one just that little bit better. Certainly you see the influence of Robert Lansdorp on the forehand, who has students like Davenport and Tracy Austin, amongst others.
Yeah, a little bit short, wasn't it?
15 all.
And I was talking earlier about the importance of keeping the ball deep. If they are dropped short, both these girls can hit winners quite readily.
Let's first service.
Just sometimes when I serve, as I was saying, I feel her weight goes through a touch early. Or maybe the ball toss is a little bit earlier.
$15-30.
Just a little indecision on that shot caused the error. Little window here for Dokic to break back. She had one break point in the last game.
$30 all.
I've been talking to Olga Morozova, who has been the great guru behind the rise in standards of Russian women's tennis, and she says the competition now among so many is so great. The chance of making a life on the tennis circuit is attracting many very promising athletes into the women's game, and we're seeing some of them here.
The 13. Oh golly, that was not a shot
30.
Dokic will be pleased with. She's just really abandoned her chance on this game to a certain extent. There wasn't the deepest serve. 40-30 to Sharapova.
Game is Sharapova. Sharapova leads 5-3.
You were about to tell us 13 women in the draw from Russia, is that
13
it?
Russian women in the draw.
That is
And
extraordinary.
the extraordinary thing is, well, maybe we can talk about it, the change of ends.
$15 love.
This is the side that Dokic has struggled with her serve.
$30 love.
It was nearly a home run.
It was.
Court's quite spicy, isn't it? I mean, they really shoot through the fast balls.
40 love.
It's easy when the court is this quick to lose a bit of confidence, because you're bound to make a few errors because you just can't control the pace.
$40-15. Let's first service. Game is Dokic. Miss Sharapova leads 5-4.
Well, that was a good game for Dokic, it really was, because, you know, she had to make a statement, and she won a decisive service game and throwing the pressure back on Sharapova, who'll now be serving for the set. But you were talking, Virginia, about her shortness of serve, and I think it'll be graphically illustrated if we ask Hawkeye to show us where she is actually hitting her serves to. In other words, the direction of her serves. Here they are. First serve's yellow, second serve's green, and they are rather short, particularly in the left court, the point you were making.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, especially I think in the left court, where so many of these players can run around and hit forehands, or they've got the two-handed backhand. I think you're going to pay the price for hitting it that short. I mean, I can't believe there are not that many appearance anywhere of second serves, because her serve has been 71%, but
Time.
obviously it's very important on grass to hit a good second serve. Just to look at her serve, a slightly abbreviated action, pushes up well, but doesn't, I don't think, transfer her weight into the court quite as well as she could, although she really hits it hard.
Well, here she is serving for the set.
Sharapova's fastest serve has been 105, 5 miles per hour more than Dokic's.
Do I detect a rise in decibel level of the
15.
squeal or whatever it is from Sharapova?
I think we'll see that, and that was also a slightly shorter second serve.
The first point of a game when you're serving for the set, so vital, and well played Dokic. She's got it.
Extraordinarily good second serve. Spot.
15 all.
Spot on the target in that corner.
Well, a lot of anguish in the box there. Dad will be having his fingers crossed here. 15 all. Determination written on the face of his daughter.
She's come into this match with a slightly different demeanor than from her other one. And she looks, a tiny little bit more nervous, which is not surprising. But she is taking more time, which is a very, very good sign. She's really taking her time, and you can see that she's concentrating and thinking before every delivery.
Big point that was. 30-15. Win it and you're 2 set points. Lose it and you're still on the edge. 10 unforced errors.
you just sense that Dokic is beginning to realize that
30,
Sharapova is getting a tiny bit vulnerable right here at the closing stages of this set, and so she's knuckling down and hitting the ball a little deeper and better.
Well played, Sharapova. When you think this is a break point,
Yes.
the uninhibited nature of this shot is quite wonderful.
She just has such tremendous racket head speed through the ball, and she stays in position on balance as she hits it so well. Hasn't got too many first serves in this game.
Oh,
One of the best shots Dokic has
Advantage,
hit
Miss
all
Dokic.
match. The ball sits up just a touch more. She knows where she's going to put it and just gives it a wallop.
third break point she's had in the set. Second in the game. And a second serve. Big chance for Dokic. Oh, she's wasted it.
Deuce.
Ooh, and that was a slightly slower serve too, 81, and it stood up a touch.
Got to take these chances when they come. She's amazing. 16.
Advantage, Miss Sharapova.
So I suppose we've seen other great 16-year-olds, haven't we? Dokic herself was a good 16-year-old. Of course, Hingis, an outstanding one.
Well, that serve looked, it was queried by Dokic, and it looked as if it might have just missed, but it stands as an ace.
First set, Miss Sharapova.
So there it is. A magnificent first set from young Maria Sharapova. She's won it 6 games to 4.
By 6 games to 4.
16 years of age, not overawed by the situation. Can she maintain that form? We'll find out in just a moment. Meanwhile, on centre court, Andre Agassi, as they did have a break of serve earlier in his match against Yunus Elanawi, it's now back on serve. That match you can see now over on BBC One.
40-15.
And a match you may have been watching earlier out on court 2. Mark Philippoussis in action against Radek Stepanek. Well, Stepanek took the first set 6-4. Philippoussis leads 5-4 in the second. Just next door on court 3, Olivier Rochus is 2 sets to love up now against Jarko Niemann, the 30th seed. And Alexander Popp here serving at match point against Yuri Novak, the number 11 seed. Oof, and he's done it. He hasn't.
Stoppage to set.
39 minutes it took her to
Up a
win.
touch.
Got to take these chances when they come. She's amazing. 16.
Advantage, Miss Sharapova.
So I suppose we've seen other great 16-year-olds, haven't we? Dokic herself was a good 16-year-old. Of course, Hingis, an outstanding one.
Well, that serve looked, it was queried by Dokic, and it looked as if it might have just missed, but it stands as an ace.
So there it is. A magnificent first set from young Maria Sharapova. She's won it 6 games to 4.
By 6 games to 4.
16 years of age, not overawed by the situation. Can she maintain that form? We'll find out in just a moment. Meanwhile, on centre court, Andre Agassi, as they did have a break of serve earlier in his match against Eunice Elanaui, it's now back on serve. That match you can see now over on BBC One.
40-15.
And a match you may have been watching earlier out on court 2. Mark Philippoussis in action against Radek Stepanek. Well, Stepanek took the first set 6-4. Philippoussis leads 5-4 in the second. Just next door on court 3, Olivier Rochus is 2 sets to love up now against Jarkko Niemann, the 30th seed. And Alexander Popp here serving at match point against Yuri Novak, the number 11 seed. Oof, and he's done it. He hasn't.
39 minutes it took her to win the first set. Here goes the second.
Love 15.
She started the first set off with a double fault.
Not a good sign.
The spark has gone out of Dokic's game to a certain extent. You know, she's had all those problems with her family, with leaving Australia. The strange thing is, John, she always looks very relaxed, more relaxed off the court. She doesn't travel, Dokic, with her parents anymore. She has a boyfriend here who's a race car driver and a new coach. But on the court, she looks just a little bit unsure. I mean, I guess the joy's gone because she isn't quite winning as many matches.
15-30.
Yes, Borna Bikic is her new coach. She, of course, is Yugoslavian at the moment. She was Australian.
Dokic looking for a variation in strategy.
How they suffer, the coaches.
The sun right in Dokic's eyes now when she serves.
30-40.
Which could explain that double fault, which is her 5th.
Deuce.
Yes, she is troubled by the sun, Virginia. She just looked up.
Well, it's like, you know, I know this match started at 1 o'clock, but it was always that 2 o'clock stage when one would go on to play at Wimbledon, the first matches.
Well
Good
played.
shot. It was always around 2 o'clock for about half an hour that the sun was really bad. I mean, I don't think it's as bad if you stand back after your serve, but if you serve and volley, you'd be blinded after hitting your serve. Lovely shot. So hanging in well here, Dokic.
Okay, Miss Dokic.
Well, that was important.
First game, second set.
And could so easily have lost it, saved the break point. And I think she's, at the moment, it looks to me like a player who's just somehow lost that spark of confidence that all players seek. She's playing tentatively.
Well, and that is exactly what you cannot do if you have a game like Dokic is, which is full-blooded hitting. You just have to go for the shot. But her serve is just a little inhibited, her serve. She's benefiting, she's staying alive because Sharapova has hit some mistakes.
No, I was just listening across it to see what was there. Oh, all right, I'll just do it then. All right.
15 love.
Absolutely lethal.
All right. Okay.
And look at the reaction every time. She's 101% in this match.
John, she has excellent footwork as well, even in the middle of the court.
$30 love.
Well, the idea was darn good because Dokic was very close.
30-15.
So she is thinking. You were making that point. She's taking time and thinking all the time.
I really like everything I see about her game. I mean, it's very instinctive. It's very natural, her timing, and she also seems to be smart.
$40-15.
Serve set it up for her. Good footwork and a good forehand on the forward run. Sometimes a shot that can cause problems. It's very easy to overhit.
Let's. Second service.
Oh.
40-30.
And so nearly got to this ball in time. Just trying to scoop it up. But what penetration now from Jelena Dokic.
Terrific return.
Deuce.
84 miles an hour, the second serve, which probably isn't quite sufficient against somebody who returns as well as Dokic.
And the return, interestingly, Hawkeye can tell us these things, at 84 miles an hour. It's called giving as good as you get.
Advantage, Miss Sharapova.
103 miles an hour serve, I must say there. You know, she is only 16. She's going to get stronger. She's going to get bigger.
And sometimes just the danger with the serve, which when she doesn't connect, is the way it goes through before she hits the ball.
Ah, yes.
It's a lovely shot, isn't it?
Deuce.
And this one comes off Jelena's racket right at us in the commentary box, and it's fun to watch it coming. You really get a vision of the speed.
Let's. First service. Advantage, Miss Dokic.
Dokic really needs to convert one of these break points.
3 she's had before this one. Ah, but the serve
Yes.
too good. Well played, Sharapova.
Sharapova really moves the serve around very intelligently. But it's becoming a slightly harder battle. It's very close altogether. That slight edge of having a first set may not be enough to see her through the second one.
And the delay was because the ball boy at the far end was not sure where to go.
Advantage, Miss
Now
Sharapova.
there is a very graphic illustration of loss of confidence. Against Hingis on this very court that year when she beat her so spectacularly, all those went in.
Well, you might sort of wonder why she doesn't take a little bit of pace off the ball and make sure she gets it in, but that's not the way that Dokic plays.
Deuce.
Sharapova hasn't had it all her own way on the serve. Struggling a little bit. First serve percentage at 60%. It's not that that's terrible, but it's just that the second serve gets such a beating by Dokic.
Come on, she says to herself.
Advantage, Miss Sharapova.
Great footwork to get that off forehand.
Strangely, though, JB, she's won 64% of the points when she's got a first serve and 57 when she's got a second serve, and so it's not that radically different.
Well, actually, that's a very interesting fact, because you remember we looked at Dokic's
Deuce.
second serve placings, and they were very short, and not surprisingly, she is only winning 27% of those second serves that go in, but doing well on the first, 80.
It is interesting, isn't it? I mean, they always say that on grass you're only as good as your second serve.
I think on anything, on any surface, really.
But I think the payoff from fast serves on grass, that extra few miles an hour, the ball just sizzles through. Oh, she just, you know,
Advantage, Miss
confidence.
Sharapova.
she must be so frustrated, Dokic, because her head just came up a little bit, and you know, I keep saying how well unbalanced Sharapova is when she hits the ball, and if you start hitting these hard shots and you just forcing it a little bit, and instead of just being on timing, your body pulls up and the ball flies.
Miss Sharapova. One game all.
Well, the body language was very graphic there at the end of the point. Dokic sort of hung her head, the other one bouncing on her toes.
15 love.
And Dokic is one of the players who really likes to get a move on, so Sharapova might have been told that, and might have be the reason she's taking her time today. Certainly smart play.
Yes, the rules say that the match must be played at the server's pace. You can't unduly hold her up.
Lovely shot. Actually, when Sharapova was playing Bovino once actually complained that she wasn't going quite quickly enough, but she seems to be ready when Dokic is ready to serve. Takes more time on her own serve.
40 love.
Whoa!
40-15.
Still struggling with the second 70 and 40 love. You don't want to throw in a double fault because you serve a double
40-30.
fault at 40 love and suddenly it's 40-30.
Game is Dokic. Miss Dokic leads 2-1, second set. First set, Miss Sharapova.
So lovely day here for this match, and we were jolly lucky with the weather. It looks as if it might be going to rain today, but it's cleared away, as so often during this first week. We've been very lucky. And here come the new officials. The photographers always around Sharapova. Not surprisingly, she has become the sort of sensation of these championships among the women.
Well, she has, and you know, being only 16, it's interesting because she's restricted from playing all that many tournaments. There's an age eligibility rule which the WTA has, and when you're 16, you're allowed to play 10 regular tournaments a year and 3 exhibitions. It's sort of interesting because Dokic is already out. I know we're looking at the cameraman at the moment. Dokic is out bouncing around, and Sharapova is taking a little bit more time, and she's almost been looking for a little different, Sharapova, today. So I mean, I'm assuming she's feeling absolutely fine, but she is taking her time.
And she took a little pill there with something, with the water. I don't know what that was about. It may have been hardly likely to be a salt pill.
No, they don't do that anymore.
Not at this stage. All that has to be done the day before. So no breaks and 1-2.
15 love.
When she gets her serve right, it's so easy. Great thing about all these young Russians is there's a whole chain of them, 13 in the main draw. Likatseva, I think the oldest one is about 27, and Sharapova the youngest at 16. See, that was a good pickup too.
40 love.
Difficult shot. To hang on to it once again, not as quite as easy to see the difficulty factor in slow motion.
She's forced it over here. And there's a lesson here for anybody who plays this game. Never give up on a point. If you
2 games all.
If you get it back one more time, you'll surprise your opponent, and you'll sometimes, like here, get an error.
And although, you know, with these long legs, she looks still a little bit youthful, as if she hasn't quite grown into them when she runs. She's very good at bouncing back into position.
Let's first service.
Dokic really has to contain herself. She's getting a little bit impatient, a little frustrated. She's always only had one speed, but still.
Love 15.
One of those irritating double faults. 7 now.
Yep.
On the line, right in front of our commentary box.
Love 30.
It's just a fabulous shot. You see, can you see the soft hands whipping the racket head through?
Love 40.
And she's become intimidated, no question. 3 break points.
Sharapova leads 3 games to 2, second set by 1 set to love.
And that's the first break of serve in this set, and she really stepped it up a gear to create it.
And how costly that double fault was. If you get a double fault on the opening point of a game, you on the other side, you think, yippee, now I can take a little bit of a chance. I've been handed a gift. And Dokic looking totally forlorn there. But she was not the one who was instrumental in those other 3 points in the game. It was the absolute brilliance of Sharapova's racket.
And particularly if we look through the eyes of Hawkeye at the positions from which they return the serve, you'll find they're very similar. Here are the first serves yellow, the second serves green, and just behind, this is the Dokic hitting points when she's returning. And if we now turn to the other end of the court, you'll see that Sharapova is marginally further forward, particularly on the first serves on the first court. But what they don't show, of course, is the speed of that second serve. Dokic is much slower.
15 love.
And Sharapova able, therefore, to bludgeon those second serves so that she's winning only 27% of the second serves that go in, Dokic.
Yeah, her serve, Dokic's serve, has always been a little bit too predictable. I just sometimes don't know whether these players who have these huge ground strokes spend enough time working on their serves.
all.
A little bit short, and she pays the price. A wonderful shot from Dokic.
At 81 miles an hour.
Let's first service.
Dokic is only 20 herself. I mean, she seems to have been around for quite a while.
And I think the awful thing for her is to be playing a younger player who is sort of doing what she did some years ago. And nobody likes losing to somebody younger than themselves. You remember the sort of effect that Hingis had on everybody when they had to play her.
Too true, John. I was thinking of her previous match, Sharapova's previous match against Buvina, who is a very tall young Russian of 20. And she was, you could see there was a little bit of friction on her side. Sharapova seemed to just conduct herself fine. And, you know, in the interview we saw right at the beginning of the match.
Great serve again.
Good serve. Sharapova says she doesn't doesn't not consider
30
herself
all.
Russian, but because she spent so much of her young life in the States, she feels that she's sort of American. So Bovina is more Russian. So I didn't think that Sharapova was thinking she was playing another Russian. Good serve.
Wow.
40-30.
Wonderful, wonderful ace. Number 7.
Jelena Sharapova.
Quite outstanding. The defence of Sharapova
Ball change, please. New balls.
in
Ball
this
change,
game
please.
was quite extraordinary. 87-mile-an-hour winner finally,
change,
but
please,
it was
boys.
the shots before that so deep that Dokic could do nothing about it.
Well, and her defense so good, keeping the ball so deep, and then quickly realizing when she had a chance to be totally aggressive. She's beginning to play a little bit better. Sharapova, she's taken a while. She's respected her opponent here today, and she's not tried to just win in a hurry. She's taking every point very seriously.
Love.
Anything that's not close to the baseline gets punished.
Love.
Forced error. Beautiful.
Love.
Good game from Dokic. Little variety there, and executed so well. In a real hurry. I mean, she's almost like quick serving, isn't she?
Game is Dokic.
And the best game she's played.
Sharapova leads 4-3, second set, by 1 set to love.
Well, this is wonderful tennis now. I must say, that was the best game Dokic has played, easily. I mean, she's got to play something like that if she's going to turn this match around, because Sharapova is just so lethal with anything that's less than perfect in length.
And she's been very consistent, Sharapova. And I mean, by the intensity of the way she plays each point, because Dokic has suddenly had the odd lapse, some break points she said she hasn't played as well as other shots, and she's had a couple of problems with her serve.
Well, I think the connections can be very proud of her.
And just thinking quickly again about all these Russians and how good they are. You know, they all seem to be motivated to do well in tennis because it's a passport out of the country and to fame and riches. But basically, they seem to be tennis players. I mean, I know Kornikova went astray, but in many ways because her tennis didn't fulfill itself. It just isn't. The crowd's got a buzz here.
Well, this crowd is really excited by the tennis this youngster is playing.
It's a big game, isn't it? I mean, 4-3 and a fantastic game from Dokic just before. It's not much of a lead.
Love. 15 all.
Thing of beauty, really, that shot. Wasn't a terrible second serve. It's sort of interesting seeing Dokic ready so early and Sharapova taking a bit more time, because all the players now tend to just go motoring from point to point, not like it was 10 years ago.
Whoa!
Oh, she thought that might have been a fault, I think.
30-15.
No call. Half played it, the return. It's a very dangerous thing to do that. You've got to play every ball until you hear the call of fault or out.
And then I think it popped up a little bit because it did land on the line. Getting a bit tight on her serve. Just one first serve in so far this game. I mean, Dokic must think to herself, if only I had made some of these returns on the slightly easier second serves, the whole thing would be different. Returning is such a strength for Dokic.
That's too good.
And Sharapova. Sharapova leads 5-3.
Well, on the brink of another upset. Remember that Jelena Dokic is the number 11 seed here. Been in the semi-final.
Oh! 15 love.
It's an interesting call. Yeah, Dokic has always done well here at Wimbledon.
All.
And Sharapova, really much the calmer one out here, concentrating but staying cool and collected.
Let's first service.
Not even the shrieking going up as much as it has done in previous matches.
30-15.
Going for the quick winner. Of course, all players in this situation would dearly love to break the opponent rather than have to go through the agony of serving out the match.
Right.
But it looks as if she's going to have to. That ace from Dokic.
40-15.
It's only a second, but it came at a good moment.
Good serving.
The Sharapova leads 5-4. Second set by 1 set to love.
Well, on the young shoulders of the 16-year-old Russian, the weight of expectation will be considerable, and it remains to be seen how she shoulders that burden as she in a moment prepares to serve out the match. She's looked, as you've said, pretty darn confident and composed, not at all fazed by the fact that she's about again to upset the form book. She's already beaten the 21st seed Elena Bovina in the previous round, Ashley Harkle-Rode in the first round here.
Dispatched with ease, those two.
Unbelievable form she's showing us, and who knows where she might stop.
And you know, you just have to commend her in so many areas, and she's got this enthusiasm to play.
Time.
You know, they suggest that sometimes the players want to play more when they're younger, but I think the restriction to the amount they can play is so wise. You know, being allowed to play a bit more at 16 means that at 16 you have the capability of beating some of the good players. At 14, you really are not going to. So you come in with a deficit against some of the players, and it's very hard to rectify that in tennis.
Unless you're Martina Hingis, because at 14 she was beating them.
She still wasn't allowed to play that much at 14, was she?
No.
Oh, golly.
Well, it looks as if she has programmed herself
30 love.
to be the loser in this match, which is rather sad.
I know. I mean, there's been just a ton of opportunities that Dokic has missed. Well, in a slightly odd point that, but it must register in Dokic's mind that if she can be error-free in this game and put the pressure on Sharapova, she could probably break.
She's missed it. An incredible point. And the defense here from Sharapova was just magnificent. It's her will that is winning her this match.
40-15.
Will and skill has brought her to double match point. What a finish!
Second match for Sharapova.
Well, Dokic slumps into her chair. The crowd rise to this youngster. She blows them kisses. And what a character, what a player. What a sensation, beating the number 11 seed to move into the fourth round, the last 16. And Dad is pretty pleased about that.
Sharapova wins 2 sets to love, 6-4.